Like when they cancel their MLB deal, the $300 million 3-year deal to have a near live highlight show for all the MLB games. They canceled this deal the week MLB came back. Okay. Yankees and Nationals just did 4 million viewers on ESPN as an average. Okay. And just to try to connect it all to, the same week, we also know that DAZN signed a deal with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship for DAZN US. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Okay. To all the execs at DAZN.
What are you? An idiot sandwich.
Like, you're telling your biggest commodity in the United States, take a pay cut or, kiss our ass, basically. You told the only mainstream sporting league that you have any deal with in the United States to fuck off and ripped up a contract. And then you signed with the equivalent to a gas station hot dog of sports. What is DAZN doing here? It's asinine. It does not make any sense to me. I want somebody, we have about 15 people listening right now and watching. I want opinions on this. Even pro DAZN people listening. I want somebody to walk me off the ledge to say that DAZN is not completely fucking up right now in the time and the period in sports entertainment where you cannot fuck up. Let's just be honest about it. If you misstep here, especially as a growing new business like DAZN, you can't recover post-pandemic, in my opinion. That doesn't happen. You have to maneuver this period in a brilliant manner, and I don't think DAZN is doing that at all. If anything, DAZN has made every step in the opposite direction you should do. Rotary Rebuilds in the chat saying BKFC is rising in popularity, though, Matt. Is it, though? Is it? Can you point me to any data to prove that? Pay-per-view buys, viewership, gate. Can you point to any metric to say, hey, it is rising in attention? It's a sideshow, freak show, bullshit thing. It always has been. It leeches off of old combat sports fighters. Old fighters that clearly should not be anywhere near gloves, a ring, or a cage. Come on. And he's saying, plus, Rebuilds in the chat, saying, plus DAZN launching in the UK, we have a massive MA and boxing following here. Yeah, but you do understand you're not going to get your boxing if you're telling your best boxer that you have to take a pay cut. Okay, I agree that I think Canelo Smith would be a really smart fight for the worldwide opening of DAZN, the opening of DAZN in the UK. I know a lot of people that listen to the show in the UK have the beta for DAZN. So I understand that a lot of people are experimenting with it now. They know that it usually provides content they like. But guess what? It can't provide the content you like if it won't pay those athletes what they are contractually obligated to. It won't happen. So, sorry. I understand your point that they like boxing and MMA, and that you're right. But to make it, you need more than boxing and MMA. The reason why Showtime was never in trouble last year, even though they had an awful schedule, was because they had tons of original programming that is really the bread and butter. The boxing just, in a way, a side piece in terms of side revenue for Showtime. Same with HBO back in the day. Same with ESPN now. Maybe not so much now. They kind of need the UFC more than anything, especially during this pandemic. But they got mainstream sports back. Again, we have the New York Yankees and Nationals came in with the 4 million average on ESPN. Off rip. Meanwhile, Top Rank is struggling to do more than 300,000 average. Freak show too. If you think in 25, 30 years that BKFC will be a multi-billion-dollar company, man, I have some lakeside property in Montana to sell you. Just trust me, you're going to love it. I love it. Rubisky saying LMAO. Yeah, I know. PD saying True Matt. PD, been a while, man. I don't think I've seen you in a minute. Maybe just because I'm talking in the chat more often on this show than others. But from what I see, I to sort of sum up this topic and then to move on, I don't know how DAZN really makes it in the U.S. You know, again, I've already said that in other markets, they've been grossly successful and have a lot of mainstream properties. But in the U.S., they don't. And the only sort of mainstream property they have, or mainstream properties they had, was the MLB change-up show and a Canelo Alvarez fight, or 2 fights a year. That was it. They're telling one of those to take a pay cut, and they ripped up the contract of the other. You cannot be a successful sports network without mainstream sports. Sorry, if you're going to be the Netflix of sports, think about that, that's what they were going to be. They came out saying we're going to be the Netflix of sports. But you have Virgil Ortiz, Samuel Vargas, and bare knuckle fighting. Like, that's it. I looked at the Showtime schedule for boxing. The best fights are Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas, Celia Brækhus, and this is in order. It's just these 3. Celia Brækhus and Jessica McCaskill, and then obviously Jorge Linares, Javier Fortuna. That's the 3 best fights they have on the entire docket. That's it. And right now, they're the highest level fights that DAZN has this year. We don't know about an AJ fight. You know, we don't know about a Canelo fight. How is that happening? Like, how can DAZN survive? And then again, get rid of your MLB deal and programming the week MLB comes back. Who was in the boardroom that said, yeah, you know what, we shouldn't pay that $100 million this year? We can't. Who said that? I get maybe if like week 2 or month 1 of this pandemic, they started canceling contracts. I would get that to a degree. But they waited till the 11th hour when the clock was gonna strike midnight, things were gonna be good again to a degree. Like, nah, fuck it. Nuke the world. Done. Nuke the contract. We're out of here. That doesn't make sense. I want someone to make sense for it, like for it to me. Like, I want someone to explain why that would make sense from a business perspective. I've yet to see anyone do it. Let me see. Dwayne, what up, Matt? Solo today? Yes, I am. Yes, it's very sad. Should be illegal.
That's fucking illegal.
It should be, but you know.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
I'm not surprised. Rob's too busy. Big leaguing me, you know? Does Canelo leave DAZN? He would have to... I would imagine the only way you can actually do that would be either to buy out your contract, which I don't know if he could do that. Wait out maybe a certain period of time. You know, like that does happen where if like your contract doesn't get fulfilled in a certain amount or a lot amount of time, that contract now becomes void. That's possible. So like, let's say if we get in a scenario here where Canelo goes all year without getting a fight because they're not going to pay him what he's owed, does he have a legal standing to say that his contract's void now? I don't know. I don't know the particulars of his contract, but that's possible. If he had really good lawyers, he would have put some clauses like that in this contract, some escape route, so to speak, to get out of it. Because it could have gone south. When you're going to a new network like this, you have to anticipate stuff like this going south or the business not being right. And hopefully he anticipated that and put in, you know, escape clauses in his contract. Reese saying no Dylan White fight. I mean, it's probably up there for big fights, but I'll put it this way. In terms of like fights that I'm personally excited for, I'm not as excited for White Povetkin the more I think about it. I think that fight's going to be really one-sided and potentially kind of ugly to a degree. Not ugly like in it's being like a bad fight, but it being like too one-sided. Povetkin, he's clearly been aging more and more. And I've gone back and watched, the Michael Hunter fight last week because I was actually thinking about this issue. And he just did not look good against Michael Hunter, who I never thought was the cream of the crop. And Dylan White is a top 5-ish guy in the division, honestly. Like, I'm one of those people that really highly rates Dylan White, even though he does have issues in his game. He should knock out Povetkin within 6 rounds. Like, I think if it goes past 6, I'll be shocked. And if it goes past 6, it may be more of an issue of conditioning and how well these guys trained for this fight. That is something I do wonder. We have seen some fighters, miss weight badly. Some fighters' cardio not be the same. With heavyweights, I would, be wary of their cardio in a pandemic time when they maybe cannot train as they normally can. There was talk of Shannon the Cannon going to bare knuckle. I'm not gonna lie, I watched. Yeah, there was rumor about Shannon Briggs going. See, I might watch that on a stream. Or here's the thing, with all those bare knuckle fights, I can find clips of them on Twitter or Instagram the night of, right? Like, there's a cool knockout or some violent shit that happens. It's on social media immediately. So why would I pay for it? I would never pay to watch that content, especially since it was pay-per-view until this DAZN thing. Now it's going to be on a paid subscription service. Hypothetically, from Dwayne, where would Canelo go if he left DAZN? Top Rank, ESPN, PBC, and Fox? No, free agent. He's his own man now. When your name is Canelo Alvarez, you don't need to have a promoter. I'm a firm believer of that. You can have business dealings, right, with certain people. You can have managers and advisors and stuff like that. But a promoter? No. Not at all. If I'm him, I'm the headhunter now. Or you would still probably want to sign a network deal in a way, because that's how you can get a large chunk of money guaranteed. Mayweather did it, Canelo did it. There was some thought behind that. So if he got, let's say, a big Fox deal or a big Showtime deal or a big ESPN deal, that would make sense to a degree. But I would not sign with the promoter. I would make that very clear. I'm not signing a Top Rank. It's Canelo Promotions. And I would start, putting shows in Mexico all the time because he has gyms in Mexico. He lives in Mexico. I'd start putting shows on in Mexico and start building up local talent and build up your promotional company. And that's what I would do. To me, Canelo's on that path now where he can do both. He's fighting twice a year. So, in theory, he needs only 6 months out of the year to train. The other 6 months, he could use that to run a promotional company and be the figurehead of it. That is the pattern for big-time fighters. And even, big-time fighters do it and fail often. Like Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones Promotions has a semi-successful promotional company. I think Mike Tyson obviously had a promotional company at one point, too. I don't think he still has one, but I think he did. All the big names do. Very few are successful, but I think Canelo could be. Canelo seems to surround himself with smart business people. I'll say that. Canelo's team always does seem like a very tight-knit and efficient unit. Iso saying Canelo would just meet with networks on his own. Yeah, you could obviously just do that, go to each network. But, if you want, let's say, a 6-fight deal like Showtime gave to Mayweather, that wouldn't be out of the question. But Mayweather did not sign a promotional deal. He was Mayweather Promotions, right? Similar, I would assume that Oscar, towards the end of his career, had deals with HBO, Showtime, even though he had Golden Boy Promotions. That's not out of the question. But I would not be signed to Bob Arum if I'm Canelo. That makes no sense. Or Eddie Hearn. And maybe not even an Al Heyman. I just wouldn't do that if I'm Canelo Alvarez. If you want to, that's fine. Pacquiao's done it, for fuck's sake. And Mayweather's done it. It's not out of the question to have an advisor like Al Heyman or maybe a guy like Jay Prince involved. But it wouldn't be my first thing I go to. It wouldn't be something I have to do if I'm Canelo. And plus, if you're Canelo and you've been under the heel of promotional network battles since you're 18 years old, 17 years old, then I would, if I'm him, I imagine that I would love to be free of all of that and to just make my own decisions and not have to worry about answering to anyone or getting the yes from anyone I'm my own boss. Rubisky saying, Matt, do you still see Canelo fighting at the age of 35? Yes, I do. Yes, I don't think Canelo stops anytime soon. Showtime gives Canelo a blank check. I do think some of those networks, like, when you look at what Canelo can give them, even after, how many fights is he now in his DAZN deal? Is it just 2? No. Jacobs and Kovalev. Is that it? Because the Rocky Fielding fight was just like a plus, right? So he has 8 more fights left. So 4 more years. So if he was, let's say, to keep fighting and no issues, he would have, again, 4 more years. So he'd be 35. No, 33. Yeah, 33. Because he's 29 right now, 30 years old. Is he 30 yet? I can't remember. Canelo's 30 years old. Okay, so he'd be 34, 35 years old by the time he gets out of his DAZN deal, theoretically, if he doesn't have to wait it out. Yeah, he gets a big deal after that, for sure. I don't see Canelo dropping off either by the time he reaches 35. I see Canelo that still improves from fight to fight in some ways. Since Canelo is such a big star, would you say he doesn't have to fight any big names anymore? Thoughts, Matt? It's not that. It's that the big names for him now seem a lot more average, right? Like a Callum Smith fight and Billy Joe Saunders fight, like those fights seem like just a little bit of like a normal fight now for Canelo in a way. So the big fights for him are going to be harder to find. And similar to like the top guy, like Mayweather, Pacquiao are going to be prime examples when we compare and contrast Canelo with any stars. It's like they were fighting guys that were really good, if not great fighters all the time. They never fought bad fighters. When's the last guy that Canelo fought that was bad? Rocky Fielding, maybe. But that was on like 3 months' notice, and he just sort of gave it to the zone. Other than that, it's been pretty good. Like Amir Khan, that's still a really good fighter. Yes, there's obvious issues with that matchup and how it was made and how you make Khan go up. And I understand that, but the name value itself, it's still good, right? So the idea of like, does Canelo need to fight big names anymore? No, but that's more of that's not because he's fighting non-big names now. It's just because the names he's fighting seem so vastly different from his name value. That's just how it looks. Like a Jamal Charlo fight with Canelo is a great fucking fight, right? But is that a big name? I don't know. I don't know what we would define as big names now for Canelo, especially in terms of monetary gain, right? In terms of financial reward, in terms of it being a big fight, impactful as the zone wants, right? I don't know what names that would be. The normal names that we talk about for Canelo kind of seem just like normal names, but that's not to diminish them. It just shows Canelo's greatness. Road to Rebuild saying, Matt, did you see the article that Daryl Miller might not get banned as he only had 0.03 milligrams of GW1516 in his system, which is likely traces from last year? No, I did not see that. What outlet was it? I can find that pretty fast if you want me to, because I will do that. You know me, I love talking about PEDs and shit. That's like one of my top 3 or 5 topics to rant on.